So that horse isn't very good. We can tell that because the bars are all low. The jumping bars are down here. Quirks are just weird things which you don't really want. How good it is as a trainer, how quickly it will adapt and sort of learn as it goes on. And you can see all the bars have these explanations. So red bar, deterioration, lower the better. Everything else, green bar, higher the better. You've got a bunch of different things. Important things, potential. The light green is what it can be at the end of this year. That is absolute best it could be this year. The dark green is where it currently is. The difference is its room to grow this year. When it ages up, depending on how quickly it matures and the peak of its sire and dams and a bunch of other factors, it'll change where it wants to be. That's really low. I would just sell the horse based on a bad potential right there. Battling quality is difficult to find and difficult to keep in a breeding pattern, but it's really good if you're fighting for the race at the end of, at the end of the straight. You're coming towards the line. That will play a big part in seeing who comes out on top, but not many horses have anything there past that 10%. So if you do find it, it might be worth keeping, as long as it doesn't have terrible bars elsewhere that will bring down your breeding program in other ways. You can see the constitution, how much they can race. Confidence is how likely bad results are to affect it. Cruising burst, when it's running at a certain speed, if it's got good cruising burst, it can lift up even further and find that extra gear. The flat out speed is its top speed, so the more there, the better. Deterioration, again, how bad of a racer it becomes as it gets older. Enthusiasm, is it lazy or not? Finish application. I hate zero finish application horses, but there are quite a few of them. Again, this is more how quickly it'll be ready to react and how much it'll throw into trying fighting. So this is kind of the ability to fight, whereas this is the willingness to fight for the line. It's much easier to get finish application, so look at that. Consistency speaks for itself. The adaptability is distance. You can run slightly under or over your distance with a bar, depending how it is filled out. The surface as well, you can ignore the surface if you've got a bit more adaptability here. And the juvenile constitution is just for those 2 and 3 year old seasons, pretty much how much you can race as a young horse before it hurts their development, which usually isn't a lot of races. But you will find out by clicking here, the head lad communications. He will give you feedback and tell you if the horse is ready, if the horse is injured, or if you are over racing the horse and you need to stop racing it that season. So there's a lot of information on this tab. The Spunger, not very good. This is the button for the auction. You can put in a reserve. Make sure you put a reserve in before you click that button if you want to reserve, because you cannot edit it after clicking the button. I don't want to reserve, I just want the horse to sell. Even if somebody bid me $100, we're going to sell Spunger because it's not any good. Sale of Sovereign, again, we look. It's got stamina. Its breeding indicator says a mile 3. That says a mile 1 or a mile 2 to me. It's been running at a mile 4. 8 plus 4, that's a mile 4. And that's where we see here. So maybe a mile 2 or mile 3 is a good rating, a good place for it, but it's not a good rating. It doesn't look like a great horse. Doesn't have a lot of good racing history. It's got low speed, low acceleration, not good starts. Not a great horse, no finish application, not great stats elsewhere. Again, at a glance, I'd be more than happy just to sell that horse. Chateau Zara. Again, it's got some distance to it. It's not a bad horse. It hasn't been running handicaps. It's been running novices. Doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's a bit low on speed, and it's got no confidence, which means that unless it keeps winning, it's sooner or later it's going to lose, and it's going to keep losing. The potential just isn't there. Again, we're going to enter into an auction. Harare, again, doesn't look great here. Doesn't look great there. No potential. You know, you're really looking for high bars and potential. Confidence, finish application, consistency, extra speed, maybe enthusiasm. You know, a lot of bars kind of up 70 or above would be a good horse. So Harare, I can sell. Didn't come from any good stats. And Classic Style, again, not very good. It at least has a few good bars, but it really doesn't have anything good. So we can basically sell all those horses. It's every Friday. Yeah, but not one today because we start on a Friday. So we go to the races. If you want to bet on a horse, you can click here. I just do to max win. It'll take some money out. You can then click on this button here for the result. And we didn't win that bet. You can check how, this is their form, how well they've been racing. A D here is if they've won at that distance before. A C is if they've won at the course before. A G is if they've won at this going before. So there's a lot of information there. This little blue triangle is normally associated with the laid back horses. A pink icon is by an excitable horse. If we go into the paddock itself, it'll say Ice Trooper is a lazy horse at the moment. So maybe that'll affect this racing. You can see Ream 3 is using an apprentice jockey to ride. Hieronymus has got a £5 advantage. That 9-1 in reality will be, what would that be, an 8-10? Because there's £14 to the stone. So he has an advantage there where he'll be lower weight than he actually should be. Yeah, that's right. It hasn't been adjusted yet, so he will be down here. So you can take that into account as well, carrying less weight, maybe going to run quicker. You can look at the tipsters, they will say who they think is going to win. Canelian, look at the paddock, carrying a little condition, maybe not the best, but is the favourite. You can advance betting, doesn't really do anything but change the odds. So your betting is here. If you want to watch it in the betting shop, you can click there. If you want to watch a race, it'll click there. This is a picture of the actual course. And you can see the results as they've come in through the day. I just tend to either skip results or skip races entirely. If you want to skip to the end of the day, there's a little button up here. So you can either skip a race, skip the result, or skip the day. Better ground stand side. So the inside of the track and the outside of the track. Stand side is the outside. So if you had a horse, you could tell your jockey that you want it to be running outside more. And that would mean, it would be running on better ground, and that might help. Although if you are on the outside, going around the turn, of course, you're covering more distance that way. So it really depends on if you think it's going to be a factor or not. You don't need to really, do anything with it, but it's there. It is there. Like, I didn't put a reserve in. Why have we got a reserve? Okay, that's weird. There shouldn't be a reserve there. But Spunger, Sailor, Chateau, Harare, and Classic. If you want to bid on a horse, you've got to click these icons. For me, if I want to sell the horse, I'll click them. Again, all the same information, your form, name, age, record for the season, record for their career, any group wins, their current rating, and if they have got a reserve, it is here. The status, just how likely they are to be ready to run. Don't really need to pay attention to that if you're on an automatic training schedule, because they will get ready to run and you'll be able to check that on the main screen. Not really something to worry about at the sales, I don't feel. But if you do click on a horse, you can see all the information you could normally. Hover over it, it'll give you all the information here normally. Again, you can click on any of this, you can watch the replays of a race. All the information is there. I'm selling these 5, so I'm going to go into the auction. You see other people are bidding on this horse. I'm going to skip the current lot. It's just going to sell that horse. We've got a bid in, so I'm going to skip, and it's going to go up to a decent price. And again. And again. And there. And then since I'm done with the auctions, I'm just going to quit the auction. We can go back into sales. We can see them here. The 5-year-old sold for 124,000, 110,000 for the 4-year-old. The 3-year-old was 167,000, and then $500,000 each for the 2-year-olds, with Classic Style being the best one. So you can see how much money you can make. I've got over $1 million. That's an achievement. Somewhere in the middle of this bar will be the achievement button. I don't know why it isn't here with the achievements, but it isn't. It'll tell you what the achievements are and how to do them. First million, we have checked off the box. Some are more difficult than others. If you're not sure what the big races are in the country you're playing, check here, look for the Triple Crown. So in Australia, that is the Randwick Guineas, the Rosehill Guineas, and the AJC Australian Derby. So you've got to win all 3 of those with one horse in the same season, and that will get you that medal for being a Triple Crown winner. I believe each of the 4 nations you can play, UK, Ireland, Australia, and USA, all of those have their own derbies to win, and they all have their own Triple Crowns, which the derby is a part of. So yeah, no, we sold all our horses, which means we're going to have to buy a horse. Luckily, there's an auction coming up on the 8th of August. Good day that. You can see that green icon has appeared next to sales. That is the 2-year-old sales. There's only one. There's Vanilla Sky. Our 2-year-olds were sold for $500,000 each. You can see this one's going for a bit more money. It's excitable, so I don't want it. But if you did, click bid, start auction, bid some money, and whether you win or lose, you'll be able to see how much it went and to who it was sold. So again, 12th of August. We just skip through the days. You can see the date up the top. And then the weekly auction. And if you like one of these, you can then decide to bid. Don't really like them, but at least that was run in a grade 2 or a group 2. Didn't run well. It got absolutely demolished. But that at least might mean it's a decent horse. Maybe. Maybe not. But I'm going to bid. I like to bid the big amount in 2s and 3s. And that normally kicks them out the bidding nice and early. And now I can see I've bought the horse here. So reach for the bucks. I can immediately look at it. That looks better than the horses we had. And there we go. 70% potential. That's not bad. A little bit low on confidence, a little bit low on extra speed for what I like. And it doesn't have the full finish application. But it still has a decent amount of bars, better than the ones we sold. So the 3 older horses basically paid for this one, which is better than them combined. The 2 2-year-olds give us some money to start with, and just by doing that, we have something we can probably just run with. Shouldn't expect it to win much. It's in a Group 3 handicap over 7 furlongs. 20% of the bar, 7 furlongs to a mile. I'm happy with that. Group 3 handicap. I don't like handicaps. But we'll go into the race details. So I'll click here. It brings me to this menu. We've got a declaration here 1. We select the race that we've been declared for. And for some reason we can't see that race. Okay. It was on the 1st of September. I saw that. Tramway. There we are. What should happen is we should see these 2 windows. And then you can see who is in the race and decide whether or not you want to race against them. And if we enter our horse, will appear in blue. You can see we will be carrying 8 stone 4. We've got Hellier booked on him at 8 stone 1. So that will only be 3 pounds of actual weight in the saddle. That will mean that we're carrying into the race. Rating, we're not highly rated. We're not the worst. And yeah, we're not in a bad situation there actually. So that's okay. Race distance, you can choose here. It will limit. I'll show you the amount of races before you click at each distance for the horse that you have selected by clicking that little F. And let's say 7 furlongs. That's the distance they like to run. Now you can sort it by age groups as well, but it's already sorted for 3-year-olds because we've got our 3-year-olds selected. Selling races. If you win, the horse is available to buy for somebody else. Claiming races. Exactly the same thing. I think it's a set amount that they buy them for. In real life, I don't think it works that way in the game though. I think it's another selling race. Maiden races cannot have won a race before. Handicaps, that is where they will handicap the better horses to ensure a level playing field. So the better your horse is, the more weight you carry. Listed races, not entirely sure what those would be. I think they would be similar to allowance races, where they would pretty much just be normal races with certain conditions on them, which is basically a limited form of condition races, where if you've won a grade 1, you carry an extra bit of weight. You carry grade 2, you carry a little bit less. Grade 3, a little bit less. You don't carry extra weight if you haven't. If you've won a certain amount, if you're rated a certain amount, if you're a certain age of horse, if genders have different weight allowances. So conditions races have so much in them which can affect how you sort of book the races. It's kind of why I don't play in them very often. Way too much thought needed to go into some of them. Group races, very useful because those are the big races that I want to compete at. So if you've got a good horse, you're going to want to look towards the groups. Juvenile races for young horses. Novice races, again, for those young horses. Kind of prep races, you'll do those after maidens. I find those a little useful for just, seeing if I can find the right distance and the right going, etc. for a young horse. So they'll be there. National Hunt fence races. Those are the big fences in a jump save. The Hunter Chase, I believe, are the shorter hurdles. And the feature races, they'll be anything with these icons next to them, which just show that it's a race of high prestige. I think most of the groups will be them, some won't, and there'll be some races which aren't group races, like this Dubai Racing Club Group 1. That is not a graded race, but it is still prestigious enough and have a big enough prize money to be a feature race. So you can book whatever jockey you want in to sort of match the weight. They'll show you all the same information from the jockey stats. You can reset the list there. You can click on your horse here to limit them. We haven't yet won a maiden, so we could run a maiden instead. But I'm interested to see what a Group 3 would be like. You can unbook your jockey and pick a different guy. If you've got more than one declaration, you can choose between them to find the race you want. But yeah, this is where you'll book all your races and do a lot of your decision making, kind of how hard to push your horses. You'll do a lot of information here, checking up on races you've run, checking the form cards, and also there'll be an icon here for a horse that you own that has run while you've owned it. There'll be an icon of jockey feedback where it'll tell you what he thought of that run. So that's important information. You'll check to see if their stamina keeps going up, and if that means you need to, look at a different distance to run your horse. The horse stats, whether they're gaining anything across the year, if they've got room to grow. This one doesn't. We've already got a dark bar all the way on potential. That can grow and shrink every year. Most things are set in stone when the horse is sort of ready to race at 2 years old. That's what you're going to see from that point forward. Cruising burst might change between the ages of 2 and 3 and 3 and 4 sometimes. So keep an eye on that. But you look at that screen, your horse screen, and all this information, and make sure they are ready to race and there are no injuries and you're not over racing them on the head lad communications. So the horse screen is important. This home screen is where you'll spend a lot of time. If you're breeding, you'll go in through these screens and you'll do the stuff there. And when you're booking races, you'll spend a big amount of time here. Apart from that, it's really just the races themselves. So, yeah, we're not racing for another few weeks. I'm just going to skip to the day before, which is skip to next race. It'll then simulate the world in the background. And now we'll go a day before, so I skip. Gets me to today's racing. Reach for the Bucks is racing. And we can see down here player entries. We're in the 7 furlong tramway, Class 1, Group 3 handicap for 3-year-olds and above on turf with no restrictions. That is just for fillies. Yeah, just for fillies, that one. So, no older females and no males of any situation. Just for young fillies at 3 years of age there. So, open just means anybody can enter. I don't think we're going to win. But hey, you never know. So we're at Randwick. It's a galloping right-hand course. So that means we're going to be turning to the right, clockwise. It's not the way I'm used to running, because America pretty much is left-handed, running anti-clockwise. But okay, it's good going. The draw is up to 8 furlongs, low 2. No idea. No idea. No idea. The draw, is that like an uphill or a downhill section, or a good part of the course maybe? Or maybe it's just an even part of the course, I don't know. But there's a draw, whatever that is, up to 8 furlongs, low 2. I have no idea. Ask on the forum, check the instruction manuals. I don't believe it makes a bit of difference. And the favourites win here 29% of the time. I don't pay attention to any of that. I don't care. We go into the racing day. Secretariat. My favourite horse of all time is racing. And it's a legend. You can tell that by the star. You want to double check? Click on legends. Find it in the list. You can see Secretariat is a legend. It's won both its racing. It's a phenomenal horse. And there's one thing I love to do when you see a legend racing. It's only an evens horse. But see all your money at the top just disappear? I just bet 1 million plus on Secretariat to win. Secretariat won by 6 whole lengths. It wasn't even close. 2 million. Nice and easy. You include legends, you've got a way to bet to get your money up. I've got a video out about betting at the start of a save, a slightly cheaty way. This is a kind of easy way with the legends. You can bet on your own horse if you think it's going to be great, and so on and so forth. But we've just got a decent amount of money from that one bet. So you'll find your race just by skipping individual races. You can see your horses in pink in both sections. These extra weights here, that means that they're supposed to run with 8 pounds worth of weight. That's the jockey, saddle, and any weights in it would be a total of 8 stone. They're carrying 6 extra. Why? Because they got an 8 stone 6 kilo. Well, it'll be 8 stone 6 pounds, but it says kilograms for some reason. But yeah, they've got a jockey that's really too heavy to what they'd be racing or supposed to carry. So that's not going to help them. There's 3 pounds extra there. There's 2 pounds there. There's a pound there. We can see 3 different pink triangles. Let's go find out in the paddock. So Spring Heel Jake is slightly agitated. John Louis, keen and slightly agitated. And Tenancy is keen, slightly agitated. We look for our horse, reach for the bucks. Parading well. That means walking around the parade section well. We're very fit and we're primed to go because we auto-trained and we looked for that green square. We checked the head lad's comments and he said we're good to race. And that means we're good to race. So that's why we have fun and not worry about manual training until you know a lot more about the game and about horse racing. We are 5th in the betting. We're 10 to 1. If you want to bet, you can. I really wouldn't. Jockey orders. So, remember when I told you about how the jockey might be obedient or not? Well, if you don't want them to lead the race, you can click this box. Miss break means not get out of the starting gates early. Don't trail. Don't sit to the back. Don't go clear. If you are going to go to the front, make sure you're not too far in front. Challenge later. Make your run for the finish at later point. Make it earlier for challenge earlier. Hands and heels means do not use your whip. Some horses don't like the sound of the whip. The whip hits the rider's, or the crop hits the rider's boot to make the sound and swish through the air. It doesn't hit the horse. Maybe it used to in times past. It no longer does. But some horses still don't like that sound, don't run well when they hear that sound. So use your hands and your heels to guide and bring the horse on. Prefer the inside of the track. That picture was pretty good there, but it's basically against the rail on the inside. So here you can see stand side and the inside. So the outside would be stand side, inside, the inside, center, center. You can remember it for these horses. So if I said miss the break, hands and heels, and go outside, I can remember it every time this horse runs. I think with this jockey, or maybe with other jockeys as well, it'll remember those settings for you. Again, I don't tend to play with these, but if I do get a note about, the inside being really good, then yeah, prefer inside. Also the tactics, go easy. Don't run too hard. Drop out early. That's what it says. Hold up means to stop the horse from running at his full pace at the beginning of a race. So you hold up, you move more towards the back. Good maybe for a closer. Slight hold up. It's a hold up, but it's not as severe as a slight hold up. Even pace. Don't conserve your energy for a finish. Don't go out really quickly and then tire out. Just try and run the same pace the entire race. Race handy, I'm not entirely sure, but I think that puts us not too far behind the leader and ready to go, so you're always on edge, ready to go and fight for the win. Force the pace, try and go in first, second, third, somewhere near the front, and push everyone quickly along with you. Pacemaker, you're out at front, you don't care what anyone else is doing, you're going really fast. So if you've got a horse which has really good stamina and really good speed, then you could try being a pacemaker. Certain horses have done it in the past to a successful degree, but not too many. Secretariat, pretty much a pacemaker or force the pace. It basically won all the big races by a ridiculous margin, and it did it from start to finish at the front. Some races, it was still accelerating, people would say, through the finish line. But that's an unbelievable horse. So, and take the reins. Ride it yourself. Nope, not for me. So I don't tend to play with that. I just click the little icon which said go to the day's racing. Go to the race, same as the box down here. You'll get the 3D representation of the course. At the top here you can see we've got the distance, the course, the class, the level of racing, the age and what it's on, and then a list of all the horses with their trainers, jockeys, betting, silks, etc. Oh my god, this is not the view I wanted. Or did I say... I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, this is jockey mode. Whee. I don't know what I'm doing. I clicked the button to say ride it yourself instead of anything else. We're 4 furlongs out from the finish. So, I don't want to go to the front just yet. I want to hold back a little bit. So, coming around the turn. Everybody's starting to get up into position. Yeah, don't try and run into me, son. Don't run into me. I'm not very good, but hey. And then we go to the final sprint, and I've just royally screwed our chances at this. I didn't mean to race the horse myself, because I don't know what I'm doing. Let's go to the rail. And finish back of the pack. Lovely stuff. Yeah, that was terrible. You can see we missed the break because I wasn't paying attention. I didn't think I was riding. We went quite quickly, then we weakened because I don't know what I'm doing, and we finished 5.4 lengths back, a length behind 11th place. Tenancy actually won it, and the jockey didn't ride us. We're not going to get jockey feedback. Lovely. 7 furlong, maidens. 19th. Let's not do that again, but let's see a race here. There we go. So I skipped to the next day, then skipped once to bring us to the actual day. So we go to the day's racing, and then we skip through races until we find our horse. There we go. Yeah, I clicked this button by accident. Click to go to the race, ride your horse. Did not mean to click that. Did not mean to click that. Yeah, there's extra information here, but I don't like the layout. So yeah. Okay, so we're going to be the top rated horse because everybody else really isn't good. Miss Pigale is parading lazily. The tipsters say we should win. We're 2-1. Let's throw a little bit of money on and then watch the race. Let's watch the race. This will be a little bit better. So again, distance, class, type of race, the age range, anything else on the end with the ground, and the list of horses. So this will be more what we see. If you press the enter key, it'll flip you back and forth which side of the rail. I'm used to looking at the horses before the rail. I'm also used to looking at it going the other way round, not clockwise. In the top corner here, you can see the lead horse is running at a certain mile an hour. This is how much is left to run, and this is a bar showing how quickly everybody's running at a hole. So they're running at about half speed at the moment. That's about 33 miles an hour at the front, 4.4 furlongs. You can see a list of all the horses here, their numbers, their silks. You can see yours highlighted. We just so happen to be at the back. Arrow keys, left, right, zoom in, zoom out for up and down. And these are the jockey instruction buttons I was talking about to tell the horse when to go. You can see we're coming now into the final turn. I like my horses between 3 and 2 furlongs to be up here somewhere. We look to be a closer, which prefers to hang around the back. When that hits about 1.5 furlongs, you'll see people make a dash for the line. Here we go. Everybody's going. You can see our horse here, number 3, in that white silk black star with the green hat. And you can see everybody fighting for the line. It looks like, yeah, we're not going to make this, I don't think. It looks like Razulin's in the lead, doing quite well. We're probably going to stay in third. So Razulin with Lujane, and then it's us. So we were behind. We were last at the halfway point. We had no extra to give. Lujane was prominent early on. It was in the front rank, the first line at the halfway point, and it stayed on, which means that it ran well through the line and could possibly have run better a little bit further on as well. Held up towards the rear, so this is a closer. Made some progress, got up to mid-division at halfway. It led just inside the final furlong, and it stayed on strongly. So every horse will have this. Not quicken is not quick enough. Settled early, which is good. That means it wasn't agitated early. Fractional lead at half point. Eased means that the jockey held it back, so they had no chance of winning. Faded means that the jockey wanted to keep running, but the horse faded. Weakened, it didn't fade, but it was pretty weak at the end. And the distance is so short head, it'll say HD for head. Everything else is fractional length behind the horse in front. And that was won by a very low rated horse. And second place was an unrated horse. If you press escape or press the little back arrow, it'll take you here. Again, escape or this back symbol, and this is where the jockey feedback is. So Reach for the Bucks was ridden by O'Hellier, ridden as a closer, which suited. So it likes to run at the back and then get up to speed, which is why when I rode it, it was totally wrong, because it's not a closer. The trip appeared to suit well. So it was run at 7 furlongs, we're told. It suited them well. So that pretty much means probably right to keep running it at that distance. So with that in mind, you can think to yourself, okay, so I was told 7 furlongs. This little jockey feedback icon appeared to suit well. Over here, we had no extra. So the trip suited well. We had no extra to give. We like running at the back, which is what we did. Closer suited. We tried running that way there. So 7 furlongs, 20% of the bar, that's about right. We didn't have any extra, so we shouldn't try a mile. Everything points to 7 furlongs. And now I know. I can race, Reach for the Bucks at that level. If it had potential to gain, did it gain any? Did any of these things change? And then I can go back in. It's got the green icon, so it's ready to race, but if I go to the head lad, he tells me it's a little jaded, give it a little time, probably a couple of weeks, and then we'll be good to go again. So I book another 7. I scroll down to maiden. I go a couple of weeks in the future, past the declaration cutoff. If you go before this, then you need to pay an extra fee because you're declaring for the race late. So I'm going to go here. You look, you see what's happening. Lugane, we just raced against, they would be in that race. If you don't feel confident, then pick a different one, which would probably be that one. So 8-8 and 8-11, that £3 advantage for females, and we'd go into that race. And you can tell by the diary, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, your last day of racing is the 24th of June. So we started on August the 5th, I believe, and this schedule goes through until June. America is January 1st through November 26th. And I'm not sure what the other two are because I don't play those saves. But we've got a race booked for October. If we had multiple horses, we would do that. And we don't have enough money really to do any breeding stuff. But I mean, I can buy the breeding barn. And then go to Friday. You can see the date. Oh, what's this? This is a 2-year-old sale. Okay. So again, you can see the information here for 2-year-olds. A lot of them are unraced. That means they're probably going to be expensive. Yeah, look, 2.3 million. That's the top you'd probably pay for a horse. 1.4 million reserve there. Some of them though, a couple of $100,000. Not bad at all. So laid back, I like that. I like the breeding distance, female horse to breed from. Island Crest, why not? I wanted a female horse so I could put them in the breeding barn. So reserve of just under 300,000. You can see we're going a bit above that, 369,400. I'm already the top bid. Nobody else is going to bid, so either I can skip that auction lot, or the button I did click to exit the entire auction either works, and I can now see my horse. So laid back, it's got no speed whatsoever. It likes running short. Its lineage is from Hilltop Artistry. I used the name Hilltop many years ago myself as a nickname in online games, so I like that. It's a grade 1 winner. I like that. The stats aren't very good. In fact, the stats are absolutely terrible. But this is just for instructional purposes. Retire to stud. If you want to bring it back to the racing stable, just click that button. Now we've got a horse in the breeding barn that we just bought. So it's a mare. You can see the one there. Island Crest. We're going to select Island Crest. We're going to sort by whoever's won the most Group 1 wins. Wow, I could breed with her dad. That wouldn't be a great idea probably. I'll breed with Darkness. It's won 2 grade 1 races. Handicaps, but you know, that's not much I can do about that, I guess. I'd rather not breed with a handicapper. Yeah, mile 2. Yeah, so just 1 for the road. So that's going to cost me 76,000 to breed with. All in all, it's less than $500,000 to get this pairing. I could probably sell the 2-year-old for that. So already I'm going to start making some money back on the breeding barn, which cost me 320,000 anyway. Within 2 to 3 seasons, just having one horse will probably pay for itself. There we go, we're breeding, and if it doesn't take within 14 days, it will be repeated. So I'm going to skip to the next race because I've got nothing else to do and I'm not checking all the sales. Skip to the day, go to the day's racing, skip until you find the pink name. There we go, reach for the bucks. We're not going to watch the race again. We're going to skip to the result. And there we go, we actually won that one. It's only a maiden, so we should. But again, we missed the break. So here's where things get interesting for me. We missed the break, so we started poorly. We made some progress. We were mid-division at the halfway. We led inside the final half furlong. We stayed on strongly. So although we started poorly, we still did okay. And we still got ahead nice and early, and we finished really well. We finished 3/4 of a length in front of second place Regal Approved, despite that bad start. So while it's only a maiden, it was still a pretty good run. And if we hadn't have missed the break, then maybe we would have won by 2 to 3 lengths, and that would be more impressive. And I kind of take all that into account. So what you see on a race or the race replay, what you read here, that'll help you out. The jockey said, lovely, keep me in mind, distance was ideal. So 7 furlongs as a closer means that our horse could do something cool. Yeah, happy with that. I press S, the S key, just to save, or you can save and quit and go back in and load it straight away. But if you do make a mistake, I think that's the last thing I want to show you. Oh yes, achievements. First winner, any age, any class, reach for the bucks, won our first race. We're 1 of 3 for our career, we're 1 of 3 for the season. That's the prize money we've won, which, you know, is kind of what Reach for the Bucks has done, because we haven't got any of the horses. But let's say I messed up. Let's say we save now on the 2nd of October. Let's say I skip forward and then I do something stupid like permanently get rid of Reach for the Bucks. They're gone. I can't undo that. We have no horses. Don't be afraid to save and quit. Because now I can go to the backup, load the game, and we're back to the penultimate save, not the last one. We deleted the last save, we reverted back to that penultimate save on the 2nd before we got rid of Reach for the Bucks. Everything else is still set up, we still run those races, we still did what we did, we still bought the breeding barn and everything else, but we didn't get rid of our horse. If you do make a mistake, don't save, save and quit. Go restore the backup, it'll take you back to the last point you saved. If you haven't saved for 6 months or whatever, then either you've got to go back and try and redo everything, or just accept what mistake you've made. But that should help you out with getting over any mistakes. And I think that's about as comprehensive a first look I can be without this being a ridiculous video. It's already a ridiculous video. This will be split into 2 parts. So thanks for watching part 2, I guess, at this point. But yeah, this would be, I think, a good way as any to bring you into the world of starters orders. You don't need to know a lot because the information's given to you. And all you really need to know is how well is your horse running, how well can your horse run, which is these 2 different bars, or set of bars here. And then, you know, what distance, so you can book races that distance and use your perceived sort of, your perceived notion of their ability level to book the right race. Be able to know that this would be chaos to run in, because look at that. There's so many grade 1 winners. Unless you've got a really good grade 1 winning horse, you're not going to compete. You look at the ratings here, 122s, 125 is your top rating. Like the lowest ratings are 109. If I put Reach for the Bucks, a 93 rated horse in there. It's a 1 mile 2, so I'm at the wrong distance. It's a Group 1, which is wrong. The field is too strong. We would get annihilated. So you don't want to book that race. But again, we know what we do like. 7 furlongs. Now we've won a race. We ran that last race. We won the maiden. Once you win any race, you can no longer run maidens. But there's still a novice race we can run. You can see I think there's an allowance here. It's got 6 more pounds of weight. This won at the course and at this distance before. So if we were to book in, now maybe it's just for winning at a distance, or at all maybe, because we've just won one race, they've won one race, nobody else has won one. I don't know what the conditions for this novice race would be. You can see if you don't like that, remove the horse. If you don't like how it's setting up, remove it. Bullet Train. Oh, don't want to run in that one. That's got the star. That is a legendary horse. So again, it really depends. I think novice races are like maiden races, except you can run in them if you've won, but you will carry more weight. That seems to be the thing there. So pick your races, base it on the stamina of the horse. 10%, 5 to 6 furlongs. 20%, 7 furlongs to a mile. 45 to 55% of the bar filled is 1 mile 1 to 1 mile 2. Anything more than that, 1 mile 3 upwards. Don't forget to look at the distance adaptability to figure out how much play you've got to adjust that. That'll be on a per horse basis. But find your distance, find the level that the horse can compete at, and then keep checking both those things, booking races of ever increasing difficulty if you think the horse can improve, and just keep slowly making those improvements until you get a good horse. Breeding, I say, you just select the 2 horses, click breed once you've got the barn. We've been breeding a couple of days. I'm just going to skip through. Aha. So for some reason that didn't take. And for some reason, even though I did click this, it kicked us out. So it didn't redo the breeding. So we're just going to do it again. Every time it redoes it, either you or with this button selected, you will have to pay that same cost again. So it didn't take the first time. But when it does, you will see, there we go, we're now in fall to just 1 for the road. So that means Island Crest is in fall. So the sire is just 1 for the road. Not a bad horse. The mare is pretty terrible, but at least is laid back. And then we can figure out how good that is or not. And yeah, we'll figure that out in a second. So if you go in and book a race as far as you can, doesn't matter what race, skip to next, wait for it to go through the form. So it's running all those races. Then remove your horse, you don't have to race. But you've just skipped a little over a month. And we're going to skip another month. And it's going to cost you a little bit of money for that entry fee to that race every single time. It's going to cost you that money, but you're going to, move on. You can see $825.94. So that was a $60 fee for a claiming race. Just gets us towards the end of the season. So if you are looking just to get to the next year, if you've got yearlings that you want to become 2-year-olds that you can race, or if you've got breeding program, which is why I'm doing it, to see the result of this breeding pair, You can do that. Let's get rid of that. And we've got a novice race that costs a little bit of money to enter into. You can see the amount it's going to cost you here. Let's skip to the next day. And I'll take you to the next day before your next race. And again, you can just kick out. We're already in March. I think I said this ends in June. So another couple of times we'll be at the end of the season. And you can pick your races to be, you know, the claiming race or whatever that cost $60, $100 a time. Or you can just enter them in anything like I've been, which could be $2.5 grand. Doesn't really matter. So I think this might be the end of the season. Around 22nd of June. Easy way to tell is when you get back into the screen. Yeah. We've got 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Let me just unbook that horse. We'll do the rest by hand. At the end of a year, there can be a couple of sales. So if you do want to look at the last sale of the year, make sure you do. But when you're on the final day, and this is the final day, you'll know because there's no races to actually do. The next time you hit skip, it will end the season. There's no confirmation. You just get taken right in. So the top jockey was D Rose. There's his stats. The top trainer was Sadler. There's their stats. They earned $10 million this year. Pretty fantastic. Noonan was the top apprentice jockey. 21% of horses won. You can see here we had one horse. That's how much money we've got. We won one of the 3 races for $13,000. We're ranked 101 out of 101. So we didn't really race. A little bit about which horses were the best in which categories. Charles the Great looks to be the big one there, and Fluctuation is a decent horse as well. You know, just keep clicking the red X's in the top corner or the escape key to jump to the next screen. The new horses coming in, if you have bred, you'll see your name at the top. There's our pairing. You can see it's a female horse. It's a filly, 1-year-old Atlantic Dawn. Not great speed, but as a 1-year-old, that's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Laid back, we like that. You can see we've got grade 1s on both sides. I kind of like that. I don't know if it's any good. But if you look at Atlantic Dawn, not bad. Actually better than I expected. Not a great horse, not a very good horse, but that's not a bad horse. And also, for 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds that have not been raced, you can click on their name and rename them. There we go. We just renamed Atlantic Dawn. So if we want to sell, we can. If we want to buy, we can. These are all the top rated horses. Or the 2-year-olds are up for sale. You can buy them if you've got the money. But now we've got a yearling called High YouTube. So under breeding, yearlings, we've got High YouTube. Next up for me would be to have a look at the highly rated horses. What we got? Just one for the road we just went to. Constant Cupid. Pretty cheap to breed with Constant Cupid. We're going to set Earl and Crest up with them. We've got a yearling, which means he'll be raceable as a 2-year-old next season. We still got Reach for the Bucks, who's got a little bit of pace, but didn't gain any potential. We're going to stay at around 75% there. So not too much more. But looking at the horse, in general, I think it could probably win a grade 3. It could probably win a grade 2 if you've got the conditions right. I don't think it looks to me like a grade 1. And that's just judgment calls based off what I've seen in other games. That's experience. You'll have your own criteria. You'll develop your own eye for these things as time goes on. But it's not a bad horse. I think my initial feeling is Island Crest will be very, very similar to that. Because, not Island Crest. Oops. No, not breeding. There we go. High YouTube. I think they'll grow into a 75, and the rest of the bars look kind of similar. So I would expect a similar kind of horse to reach for the bucks. So I know if I can make a little bit of money with Reach for the Bucks, I could probably make a little bit of money as well with High YouTube. But if I sell High YouTube, if I sell them as a yearling, I'm going to get a couple of 100,000. Now, I'm not sure over the career whether Reach for the Bucks gets a couple of 100,000. So maybe if I sold him, I'd earn a certain amount of money, and that plus your prize winnings that we can see here, that would be the amount I'd have to beat by selling the other horse as a 1-year-old. Maybe it's more valuable for breeding because it's a female horse that I've got as a yearling. But if I keep that yearling until it's 2 years old and sell it as an unraced 2-year-old, then I think the minimum price I've seen those usually go for is around 500 to 600,000. A lot of them go for 2 to 2.5 million. So it really depends. Do you want the 100, 200,000 now for your yearling, or are you prepared to leave it, wait for the year, and then sell for big money potentially in the next year? It's up to you. I know which one makes more sense to me. You can already see we're whittling down our money as we go. So if you've got the legends, I would look here. Bullet Train, 6th of August. Secretariat, 23rd. I prefer Secretariat. So 23rd, I don't want to miss that day. I'll go the day before it. We'll just book the skip. It's not something I've seen people do very often, but it's what I do. So I booked the skip. On the 23rd, we've got Secretariat. I'm going to put my 600 grand on Secretariat to win. Hey, look at that. Secretariat won. 900,000. Skip the day's racing. Where's my new legend? If I'm just killing time or I'm just breeding, just doing breeding saves, I'm trying to just pair up horses that I've already got, I would do this a decent amount. And then, yeah, I don't really like most of those. Delami I like, 14th of September. So I'd go find the 14th, knowing it's going to put me the day before. So that'll skip me to the 13th. Then I can go to the 14th. Don't really want to run that race. And then we're going to go find. So Olympic Glory is in this one. But Delami's in this one. So is Yeats. I don't know. I'm going to put the place, which means finish first or second. Oh my god, we lost money. Olympic Glory let me down. Delami. Oh, I've got no money. So Delami wins me money. Yeah, be careful when you're betting. Be careful what you're doing. Because it might just come back to bite you if you're not careful. You don't pay attention. That can happen. Black Caviar, 19th. Let's go. Let's go. Love Black Caviar. Absolutely beast of a horse. Did I miss it? I was expecting it to be the top. Oh no, that's October. We're in September. Yeah, so you can see each month that money's gonna, each week that money's gonna tick down every Friday by a couple of grand. So be careful of that. But yeah, I'd be able to book races. I'd be able to get the breeding on now, just with minimum investment, with a couple of bettings on Secretariat, if I behave myself on other bettings. Rule of thumb, bet on Franco, bet on Secretariat, and then think about betting on Delamy and Black Caviar. Outside those four, I'm not 100% convinced. But definitely Franco and Secretariat should win every single race. There'll be very few they don't. Delamy and Black Caviar should win most of their races. So, yeah, you just got to try and be cleverer than I just was. And on that note, that is where we're going to leave it. So, thanks very much, guys, for watching this how to play with Starters Order 7. We've got the betting tutorial up and running. As I say, this will be in a two-part series. I'm going to put them up pretty much back to back very quickly as soon as I get this up and running. So, yeah, it's taken me a few hours to record this because I'm not feeling well. I've had to take breaks. This ran on a lot longer than I wanted to. But I hope that brings you to a point where, even if you know nothing about this kind of game, even if you know nothing about horse racing itself, you now at least know enough not to feel overwhelmed. Now you feel you can go into this game, know where certain things are, have this video or these videos as a resource, and just be able to pick up the key details. How to judge if your horses are any good. How to set up breeding to hopefully get better horses. How to look at the auctions and sales to see if you can get a good horse that way. How to pick out a race for your horse to run in. How to book that race, view that race, and bet on races. And I think that's pretty much the crux of the bulk of the game. Once you have a certain number of steps in place, you repeat those steps. And you learn more as you go, and you're able to make better decisions as you go. I'd say with that kind of things in mind, with those kind of advice levels, and the information the game gives you, the instructions, the tool tips, and what I've been able to share, jump into a game. Start a new game you don't care about. Try out a few things. If you mess up, you can restore the backup of the save. Remember, if you only saved once, including the save and exit, if you only save once after the mistake, you can back up to the save prior to that mistake. If you haven't, you haven't. Don't click this button. This button deletes the save. This restores the backup. Don't click this, it'll overwrite with a new game in that slot. You're given plenty of slots to play with. I normally put one in the middle for whatever I'm testing. I've got my breeding save where I'm just going year to year, just simulating year after year after year. And then, you know, just breeding horses together and seeing what the progeny look like. And then judging whether or not I want to keep those and exporting them onto my transfer list to seed other games with good horses. And then I got my YouTube save, which at the moment of recording is set up with just Druss, Bella, and my youngster Winespring, so ready to run. 11 Group 1 wins on Bella. Looks like a very good horse. You can see something like this. If you've got the good bars in this place, over halfway in enthusiasm and confidence, over 70% extra speed, 100% bars in finish application and consistency, and over 70% in potential. Those are my baseline to run with. That is what every horse on this list has. That's why Bella is on this list. That's why Druss, named Zagato on this list, but is on this list. That's why Winespring, as a young horse, has 70% potential. He's not going to fill that as a 2-year-old, but he might as a 3-year-old. 10 to 15% is pretty much as big a jump as I've seen. I think 20 is the absolute limit in a year, but even then we wouldn't fill that potential. But he's got 70% in potential. He's got over halfway confidence and enthusiasm. He's got 80 rather than 70% extra speed, and the 2 full bars for finish and consistency. I can trust this horse to run pretty well. I think just on those bars alone, I would say grade 3, grade 2, possibly grade 1, just looking at those bars. And knowing that the way Druss looks, and the fact that Druss has won 7 Group 1 wins, and is 125 rated, the fact that we got Bella at 125 rated, used to be a lot higher, but has excellent bars in good places, and has won an absolutely ton of graded races. Nearly 5 million career record on Druss, 7 million on Bella. We've earned 15 million over our career. The rest comes through betting. Fully upgraded all of the stables. Did that through gambling really early on. So this is where you want to get. If you can get to this point where you're winning, somewhere between 3 to 5 Group 1 wins. That's the first horse you want to find. Someone that can win 3 to 5 Group 1 wins before you put it in the breeding barn. And that becomes your cornerstone of your breeding program. And then the next horse you're looking for is a 5 to 7 or 5 to 8 Group 1 winner. And then they'll go into the breeding barn. And then you can ignore the other horse. They've done their job. And then you find new horses to race with. All those from your breeding barn that turn out to be good youngsters you keep. You develop, you try and turn those into 6, 7, 8 Group 1 winners. You put them in the breeding barn. Then you're looking for your 10 Group 1 wins. Then you're looking for 15 and 20, and over time, you're filling up bars that you like. You're reducing bars like deterioration that you don't like. You're getting those extra wins, and you're able to do a lot more in the game. So this is kind of where you want to get to. It looks very daunting to get here, but believe me, the simple steps I showed you of how to judge a horse. Runs at a mile, 20% of the bar. I also tried it at 7 furlongs. Why? Because it's 20% of the bar. 5 to 6 furlongs is 10%. 20% of the bar would mean 7 furlongs to a mile, which is where Bella runs. Anything more than that, and it's a little bit more guesswork. 55%, I would say, is a mile 2. But Druss doesn't run really well at a mile 2. A lot of his wins actually came at a mile 1. So you can see mile 1, didn't like a mile 4, didn't like a mile 2, put him straight back to a mile 1, he wins again. So, got to be a little bit careful with it, but a mile 1 is Druss's level. A little bit of experimenting to do that. But as long as you know that much, and you know that they've got good speed, good ability, good extra speed, good finish application, and aren't going to get hurt by a lack of consistency, enthusiasm, or confidence, that gives me confidence in saying that's a Group 1 horse. And you add those up. Bella is a mile Group 1 horse. Druss is a mile 1 Group 1 horse. So I book races like Druss, a 1 mile, 1 furlong Group 1 or Grade 1, and we're in this competition. We've got Bella, and this is what their competition looks like. At a mile, at Grade 1 level, because that's kind of all the information you need to look at. You just need to breed an auction and do what you got to do to upgrade your facilities and get everything building year on year. To get to this point with my breeding saves, I probably took 30 to 40 seasons in game easily to get to Druss and Bella. Easily. Probably closer to 60 to 80. Other people at this point, a couple of months into the game's release, probably have played between 200 and 300 seasons. They are the expert breeders. They are the ones that spend a hell of a lot of time getting phenomenal horses so they can compete online at the top end of the league. It's open to all levels, the online league, but to compete at the very top, people put in a huge amount of work. But if you're lucky and you get some good horses to begin with, you can easily cut that time in half. You could get a Bella or Druss in, I'd say, 10 seasons. You could do that in one save. It's not going to take you too long. I think it takes me about 2 hours to 3 hours to do a save. If I'm doing it on YouTube, it'll take me longer. So that's each year in a save. So 20 hours to get to this point. It's not too bad. I've still got a long way to go. There's still big gaps. I still don't have a 90% potential horse, never mind 100%. I'm still unable to get a horse to 135 rating, let alone the 140 mark, which I've always struggled at. But it is achievable. It isn't as difficult as you may think, and I hope I've helped you get there. So, with that being said, thanks very much. Anything else you want to know, leave it down in the comment section below. You don't understand something I've said. You don't understand something I haven't mentioned. You don't realize that certain things can be used in certain ways, or I don't realize. You want to point that out to me. Leave it all down in the comment section below. I'm always happy to help. Let me know. I'll figure it out, and I'll get it back to you as soon as possible. But thanks for the support. I do appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you back here soon for more Starters Order 7. Seems to be my go-to. When I'm ill, I can just play it. I don't have to think too much. That's how much of a second nature it becomes. Trust me, you will get there. So we'll be back with more, with Bella, with Druss, and the start of Wine Spring's career as well. So be on the lookout for more videos on that. I've got 6 or 8 to upload already in that series to get us to this point. So spoiler alert, oops, on that save. And then we'll continue on from there. But yeah, take care guys. I'll see you back here soon.